England and Aston Villa midfielder Lee Hendrie is our guest tonight. Welcome along. You were once voted Aston Villa's Young Player of the Season, weren't you?
Many moons ago.
It seems like a long time ago.
Time back that was.
But a wonderful time.
Yes, it was very good time.
We might mention that a little bit later. OK, let's start at the very top of the Premier League then, because Arsenal's lead is down to 2 points after Manchester City's win over Crystal Palace last night. But it remains, though, in their hands. With City in the FA Cup action this weekend, Arsenal can ramp up the pressure by beating Burnley in the Monday Night Football.
We focus just on the things that are in our hands, which is to prepare in the best possible way to beat Burnley. That's it.
What can you say about the focus at the moment? Because here you are at this stage of the season again, 2 games away, potentially a week away from winning the league.
Well, the team is really present. It's just is living the moment. It's emotional, really good state. I think the energy level is the right one. We have most players available now. Okay, we lost Ben the other day, but the other ones are coming back as well. So yeah, and everybody obviously is so enthusiastic and so positive about the way that we can finish the season.
Arsenal's rushing forward, Burnley rushing back, and Declan Rice is there to head it home. A classic counter from Arsenal, who are sitting pretty on top in this game, on top of the Premier League.
If you beat Burnley, will you and the players gather on Tuesday to watch Bournemouth against Manchester City? We
prepare just to beat Burnley, that's it.
For most of this year, you've been out in front with people snapping at your heels. How much has that been a different pressure for you? Maybe has it been a pressure you enjoyed more, the fact that others have had to try and match you?
The last few years they've been different. We think we've been in both positions is what it is. I think the fact that we've been at the top for a long time shows the level of consistency and how well the team is done to stay there in this league. But yeah, is where we are now. More than ever, obviously, we want to finish in that position, and that's what we're trying to do.
You feel as though you got one hand on it.
I feel that we have another opportunity on Monday to be a step closer, and that's the only thing.
Lee, is it my imagination, or does he just seem really happy at the moment, Mikel Arteta? He's doing a lot with a smile on his face, isn't he? With good reason.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand why, can't you? I've been really impressed of late of them, to be quite honest. And I put that down to, I think they've had an awful lot of pressure that's surrounded the football club. You know, the fans have also had to deal with that, and probably added a little bit more on the players, I might say, because of the negativity that surrounded the club for quite some time. So I can see why he's quite happy, because they're almost there, let's be quite honest. He doesn't want to say, and he doesn't want to allude that we are in touching distance. He wants to get his job done. He's focusing on getting the result on Monday and taking it into that last game and putting the pressure on Manchester City. So he's got every right to be happy.
Yeah, he certainly has. And he sort of highlights the point there that actually it could all come down to goal difference, couldn't it? As it did back in 2011. How well will they need to be against Burnley on Monday to get the goals over the line? Yeah,
I think it could be vital. I really do. I think that they, as I said, they feel like there's been a real step up and character from Arsenal. So it wouldn't surprise me if they really do give Burnley a good old thumping, to be quite honest. And you can see that happening. I mean, these were the old scenes, weren't they? I'll never forget this. It was just absolutely unbelievable, wasn't it? The Aguero goal. Yeah. And I remember Paddy Kenny being in goal. I still give him stick to this day about him getting beat at his near post. It's the golden rule for a goalkeeper. But, you know, this is what the Premier League has been all about this season. You know, some of the top teams that we've expected to be there, like the Liverpools, the Chelseas, haven't. And the fact that Manchester City have left it quite late and then all of a sudden had that little push to go and put that bit of pressure on Arsenal. I mean, I was all over Arsenal going and winning a treble this season. And, you know, sort of Man City having that little bit of form and starting to come to the forefront of everything, you start to think, is it going to go again? And City going to go and do what they do best under Pep? But credit to Mikel Arteta. They've got 2 games that you would pretty much say they should go and win. And that could see them definitely lifting the Premier League, which would be an unbelievable achievement for himself, because it's took some time for them to really start to be a success. They've got the squad, they've got the foundations, they've got a very good manager, and it's a very good football club.
Yeah, it certainly is. And then they can go and focus on the Champions League and try and get a huge double that they could still get. Since that defeat to Manchester City, even though it was a defeat, it felt a little bit like the performance of the season from them, didn't it? They've been pretty impressive, haven't they, since then? What's impressed you most about the performances, that one included?
Yeah, I think from then on, I think because we look at the sort of results, and the Bournemouth obvious result was one where everyone started to raise their eyebrows. Then they're going into the City game where they get beat, and then I think the fact that at home to Newcastle, and obviously the Fulham game was the one where you just felt that there was a real edge about their play, a real confidence and aura. I think that's been more impressive for me, that the big players have really stepped up in such a crucial stage of the season. Because let's be honest, them 2 defeats could have easily ended up being 3 defeats, and then all of a sudden, the writing's on the wall. Manchester City are going to go and win the league. That's what's really impressed me, and I think not only that is that having the Champions League game that they've had to step up and also focus on. So the thing is with Arsenal is that they find themselves in the Champions League final. They've had a big game against Atletico Madrid where they've been successful, and that's where I think. The likes of Manchester, I know they've got the FA Cup the weekend, but, they've come into this in great form at this back end of the season. And that's why you have to highlight how good Arsenal have really stepped up in these 3 games that you would quite easily say there are some potential banana skins there. The West Ham one, for instance, that was so close. But they've just found a way all season of at times grinding results out. And obviously, I just feel the confidence and the aura about them at this moment in time. I just don't see a way past them now at this crucial time.
Yeah, they've almost got there, haven't they? Obviously, they do have concerns at right back, though. Ben White will miss the end of the season. Obviously, he's picked up this knee injury. So let's see how far away Jurriën Timber is from returning.
There is a chance, but how big that chance is, I cannot tell you. Being completely honest, he's going to try to do everything he can to convert that chance as high as possible in the shortest possible period. And that's the challenge ahead. He's progressed a little bit in the last few days. He's feeling better. We're going to try to get him fit and available as quick as possible. But let's see. Obviously, he's been out now for a while, unfortunately. He's such an important player for us. We all know that. And he's doing everything that he possibly can to help the team in any capacity. And we know his leadership, his quality, and how much the team needs him. And he's trying everything that he can.
Yeah, I mean, he mentions there how much the team needs him, potentially back for the Champions League final then. How highly do you rate him? Oh,
fantastic player, fantastic. There's no doubt of that. I just think that, having him back, I mean, it'll be a massive relief to Mikel Arteta and Arsenal because of what he brings to the side. I think defensively, he can do his job when he's in that back line, but he can also get forward and he can also be a major problem. I've been impressed with the signing of bringing him in, and I know he's been a little bit stop-start for him since coming into the club, but when he's fit, he's definitely he's first on the team sheet, and that's why Ben White's really struggled to find a formula of getting himself into that right back spot. But super player, and I'm sure that they'll want him fit for that big occasion.
And in terms of the squad, everyone talked about their strength in depth this season. Is that what you've witnessed? That's what's been good about Arsenal.
I have. I felt that you look all over the pitch, and I've said this many a time this season. This is why I felt that they had the squad strength, they had the squad depth to really go and win a treble, and it was also looking like it was going to happen, to be quite honest. The defeat at Southampton was a disappointment, but I just think that you look all across the pitch, they've got really like-for-like players that they can utilise. Gyökeres, I mean, he's come under a lot of criticism over the season, but you look at what goals he's contributed this season. It's a lot of goals he's scored. His first season, I think he's had a great season. His work ethic and the style that Arsenal play. Lots of the times they've depended on Saka, they've depended on Martinelli, Trossard. I mean, he's stepped up. There's been so many players that have bought into what Mikel Arteta's brought to the football club, as in squad depth, because you can bring too many players in and you lose some of your players, whereas it just seems like everyone has stepped up to the plate for Mikel Arteta. And you have to give him credit. I thought that, for me, over seasons going forward, this potentially could be an Arsenal winning side that could go on and really be amongst domination if they continue to do what they're doing. Because I feel that he's just built something there. He's added squad depth. And all of a sudden you're looking around now, and obviously Manchester City did it time and time again. You know, the likes of Liverpool, I just feel like they're just edging away from them at the moment. And if he can get it right and win trophies this season, listen, I think that they've got every chance of going again because of what they've got. The potential they've got in that squad is absolutely magnificent. They could have two teams that could play in the Premier League. That's how much strength they've got in that squad.
And they've got it in an integral part, which is in goal at the moment. How important has David Raya been for them this season? Magnificent.
I mean, you think when he was brought into the football club and there was all questions over, Ramsdale and how well he's done, and then you bring in David Raya and you think to yourself, I mean, going back to that, where there was a lot of question marks around that because of how Ramsdale did. But I mean, looking at it now, it's an absolute masterstroke because of the way that Mikel Arteta likes to play. He's almost like a centre half to a certain extent because he can play with his feet, and his save ratio is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the save he made against West Ham was outstanding, I must say, and sometimes that gets overshadowed, doesn't it, because of Arsenal being a fantastic goalkeeper that Mikel's witnessed. The recruitment's been good because they've realised that he fits the bill of how they want to play, the style they want to play. The long-term longevity that Mikel Arteta stamped on this club to take them forward is why I see the success if they can bring the right personnel in. Not that they need an awful lot now, but they might add to what they've got. They might get rid of a few that might just tweak the odd situation that might make them stronger. And that's where I think the building platform that they've had to do so, it's took a little bit of time, but I feel that Arsenal are just starting to get there, and I feel winning a trophy is going to be massive for them. That might just blossom this Arsenal squad and team to go and be a real success.
The good thing is they're very attractive, aren't they, at the moment? For any player out there that's thinking, hang on a minute, I want a piece of that. So, if you could strengthen anywhere in that first 11, is there somewhere you think actually there and actually this player?
Yeah, it's a real difficult one to sort of say, identify an area where that you'd probably say that they're weak, really. And that's just because, they've been so good, solid defensively. We touched on David Raya being fantastic, between the posts. The midfield area strength, Declan Rice, Mendy. The list goes on where you could just chop and change things there. And then you've got the likes of Havertz, who's come back from injury, who did brilliant last season. Brought Gyökeres in. I mean, do you look at that and say, well, could they bring someone like for Gyökeres? But
was it Julian Alvarez, wasn't there?
Yeah, and that's where I think that's why Mikel, he kind of looks at times where he uses Gyökeres as that out and out sort of focal point for him. But at times they can play with that false nine, if you like, because they've got so much quality all around. And I mean, I look at Saka this season and his numbers have been outstanding, goals and assists, and I don't feel like he's quite been at it this season. So, you start to get him back up to scratch. I'm not saying he's had a bad season by any stretch, but, he's had his injuries that he's had to contend with. But I just think that I don't think a lot needs disturbing and disrupting at the moment. I feel that they've got that nice blend. I think now it needs success, it needs silverware, and I think silverware comes, confidence comes, and then all of a sudden, you might just tweak an area where you feel that they might just need to. Well, at the moment, I don't think they do. I think defensively they're very good, and they score goals. I think all they need to do now is probably, for me, is that they've probably won games like 1-0, but they've kind of known how to sort of dig deep in games where the top teams have to do so. Sometimes it's not always pretty, and you don't dominate the football. And I think that's where they're just finding that blend. But I do feel that it's just getting over the line at the moment. I really do. I felt that the Carabao Cup would have been massive for them to get that first bit of silverware that might have just given that kick on to go, right, we're Arsenal, this is us, this is what we're going to do. We're going to dominate a lot of these trophies that we're fighting for. So that's where I see Arsenal this season in particular. They've done brilliant with all the players that they brought in, utilised the squad. I just think it's all about silverware success that's going to give the fans, it's going to give the players, it's going to give all the staff so much confidence going into next season.
Arguably, they have been one of the, if not the best team we've witnessed in Europe, certainly. They won the phase, didn't they, the league phase. They're in the final. They've kept in step with Manchester City. They're top of the Premier League. Where do they rank for you in Europe at the moment? Are they top at the moment? Are they ahead of this one? Are they ahead of PSG? Where do they rank?
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, it's difficult in the sense that you've just alluded to where and what they did in Europe on them build-up stage and the league stages. It's phenomenal that they went away and got results and did it in style, might I add to that. I think to be quite honest, I think this is going to be their biggest test against PSG. I think they probably had the easier side of the sort of group rankings going into the final, and probably the best passageway, I'd say, by a long stretch. That's what made me think that they've got every chance of getting to the final. The PSG game's going to be the one, but everybody's saying PSG are this, PSG are that. PSG are a good side, there's no doubt. You know, last season I've seen them, you know, absolutely perform to a standard that I've not seen a European club play like and play with a real intensity. I think it'll be really different, and this is where I'm sort of against some of these people that say PSG are through Arsenal. I don't think it's going to be like that.
They've been beaten this season.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the way that, as I said, the way that Arteta sets up, I think he is a manager and a coach that will certainly disturb and disrupt PSG. They will not have it their own way. This won't be a walk in the park for them, what people are thinking, because of the way they've at times defended and managed games where they can counter-attack teams. And I think that will suit Arsenal better than PSG. Listen, PSG are a fabulous team. And yes, they're probably favourites to go and win the Champions League. But I think if I was to throw a team against them at this moment in time, it'd be Arsenal, because I feel that they've got the capabilities of defending. And I know that they've got a fierce sort of front area where they could certainly score goals against PSG, because they are very, very sort of vulnerable at the back, PSG, and that's where I think it might just suit Mikel Arteta. So that question that you're going with, I'm going round the circle a little bit, but I do feel it probably would depend on these. So I'd put the two that are in the final for me up there on a certain par, but PSG are probably a prettier watch, I would say, so in comparison to Arsenal.
OK, just finally, they win this Premier League for you. You're kind of nodding towards that, you think?
Yeah, I think so now, yeah. I think so. I think the game's coming up. I did change my mind a few weeks ago, but I think everybody did. But I just think that, with the games they've got coming up, I think at home to Burnley is a must. And I think that's where they'll blow Burnley away. And then I think Palace will have their eye on the Europa Conference League, because I think that's where they're at the moment. They can't go up and they can't go down. No,
I would agree with that. OK. You can see Arsenal's...
Yeah, do you see the similarities between what you faced back in the day? Because the song was Boring Arsenal, rightly or wrongly, and now this team are being accused of having a style issue. Do you think it's unfair? And what do you think of this current team?
They're effective. They're hard to beat. Sometimes I don't know, since they lost against Man City, whether City have gone ahead of them or whatever, the shackles have been taken off a little bit. I've seen a team get to the front at a certain time and nerves hit. I didn't think they'd bottled it up to then. I haven't think they've bottled it over the last few years. I think a great Man City side in general, Kevin De Bruyne and them, have come and beaten them. I was detecting after that Bournemouth game where, it was early doors, sideways pass and the centre-half back, going nowhere, back to the goalkeeper stuff. And there was a lot of stick afterwards. The crowd gave them stick for, which I thought was unfairly, because you're coming off the pitch still 6 points ahead in the league. But that is the Arsenal crowd a little bit demanding. And I wish sometimes they play with more freedom. They seemed to, against Fulham, they went out with a very positive way of, we had a job to do. Instead of Saka going at people, we have this new way of the ball is centre-back to centre-back, goes out to the right-back, down to the winger. Then it comes back and it goes back around and goes the other way. It was a more of a positive way when it went there that people took, full-backs were asked the question. And that was very positive, and Arsenal got the job done in the first half on Saturday.
Taking more risks.
Yeah, and Gyökeres looked a more effective player. I seen him play for Coventry, and I came away thinking, first of all, the lad is a trier. He'll work hard for you. Is he the most technical? No. But he has an effective way. And the last few games they've played to that, and he looks a lot better player for it.
And what about Mikel and the job that he's doing? Obviously, this club have been very patient. He's been on a journey for 5-6 years. But
I think, Gary, the myth of he was on an edge to go, I thought that was rubbish. He was never anywhere near. It was going to be this project of, I think he's ruthless. I think he came in, the club needed an absolute shock to the system. He was the right one for that. The only negative was that first job, has never done anything, only assistant. I think he thought he was going to get it after Arsenal. I think for one reason or the other he didn't, and I think that did him a favour, because Unai came in and then he came in on the back of that, and I think that deep down did him a good favour, and I think he sussed out what needed to be done, and I think he was ruthless enough to do that. I think he's a great coach. I think he has a job there now that Guardiola and him are the most run a football club, a whole football club. And I think he's got, from a chief executive in Richard Garlick behind him, a structure that is so important for a football club, because if you have a bad structure off the pitch, I think you'll relate eventually onto the pitch. And Arsenal now have got a structure on and off the pitch without it. And in general, they've bought well in that way. And you know that's a big thing. And you're judged on the players in that way. And in general, the players that have come in for Arsenal have done well.
Because this next few weeks is one of the most defining few weeks in Arsenal's history. Not won a league title for 22 years. 22 years.
What did you say?
Never won the Champions League. Arsenal Football Club, one of the greatest football clubs in our country.
Unbelievable.
Never won the Champions League. I mean, how big a period is this for the club, and will they do it?
I was asked months ago of which one could they, if they have to choose one, when it was all. And you said something there of, you know, I'd love them because the great Man United, the Chelsea, all these teams, and Arsenal are not a Champions League winner. You think to yourself, would you rather win the Champions League than just to tick that box of a great club like that?
Yeah.
I think they've a great chance of winning that because the final's over 90 minutes. I think the draws all the way through have been kind. Atletico Madrid, they weren't the Atletico Madrid of old in any way. I think the other side has been stacked up a lot. The league, they'll never have a better chance. And I'm not trying to be anyway daft or trying to be clever and could turn out to. I thought around Christmas time we'd win the league by about 6 points. I think we've messed up. I think fear got into us. I think that when there was times that Man City had gone on the Saturday, we had the game on the Sunday, and that where you had a chance to go 9 points ahead, you thought, well, a draw, we'll get a draw and it's 7 points ahead. And that fear crept into it right from the start in that way. I think through us, we brought Man City back in it. I don't think they can believe they're back in it because of, I think they thought, no, this is gone. But they've already had a smell. After the Man City game, I was kind of talking to them afterwards, and when we were coming back looking at it, I felt what they felt was that they had to win all their games now, that they looked at our fixtures and we were going to win all the games. We couldn't, no disrespect to the teams we had to come up, but we should beat those teams. And looking at it, we were looking at it thinking, everything is a sticky game. I think the one to me was going to be even more stickier was the Bournemouth game away. Yeah. Particularly, I think it's the lads' last game there, and the whole lot about it. After the cup final and that, I thought that was going to be a sticky one. Yeah. I thought it was going to be a hard ask for them. And if they did win all the games, fair play to them.
Yeah. So Champions League or Premier League, if you could pick one?
Yeah, I'm hoping you wouldn't say that. That's what I was trying to divert you off at the start. But I knew the great Gary had come back with me on that one. Do you know, I'd have to go because of the way it would look. I would say the league, because I think people would accuse us of bottling it. Yeah. And I think, Gary, that if we don't win it this year, we'll never have a better chance of winning it. When will we ever win it?
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
There was a big purpose in the summer of what do you want? Put this squad together. It's the best squad really, balance-wise. And if you're not going to do it with that squad, with the position you're in now, I fear when you'll ever do it.
I think as well, Roy, what you were saying about you can build up to that. I'd rather win the league. And then the team, what he's trying to build,
keep them together.
You keep them together, and you go and try and do that.
Add to it if they.
But for Mikel and the players, that if they win the Champions League, they'll get a great amount of sort of glory, and it'll be an incredible achievement. But if they win the league, they'll be revered as people who could stand the test over a period of time.
Yeah,
and the endurance of winning the league. And I think Mikel's career will completely go like that by winning the league. Yeah. There are managers who've won the Champions League who I think aren't thought as highly of if they won leagues in their own countries.
And you know, you've won them. We've all won them. The best team always wins the league. You know, I've won many cups, but have we been the best team? In many ways, the draw has helped us through winning a lot of these. But the best team is and that group you've been with over 38 or 42 games or 40, and you've gone through little dips through the season and whatever, and you come through at that end. It's a great feeling together, without a doubt.